Folks, today is a very, very exciting day because not only are we just 1 week away from the April 2nd Nintendo Switch 2 Direct, the rumors were accurate, and not only are we getting a Nintendo Direct, it's not a partner, it is not a mini, it is not an Indie World presentation, we are getting a full, fat, 30-minute general Nintendo Direct focused on Switch 1 games tomorrow at 7 a.m. What is happening? As I've been saying the past couple of days, you cannot predict Nintendo. So many people were commenting on my videos saying it was impossible that there would not be another Nintendo Direct right before the Switch 2 showcase. Nothing is impossible when it comes to this company. We can't predict anything anymore. I had given up on there being some sort of showcase for Switch 1 back in February. When nothing happened in February, I was like, yup, it's over. But then when these rumors started popping up, I was like, well, I guess they could. And here we are. We're getting a full Direct. It's not a partner. It's not a mini. It is a full Nintendo Direct. So that's what we're talking about today. There are also some rumors and leaks coming from Pyoro, which is definitely got me excited, I gotta be honest, and maybe we'll see more stuff leak throughout the day. But if you are new here and you enjoy Nintendo Switch speculation, theories, discussion, news, all that fun stuff, I would appreciate you subscribing. Let's get into it. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the channel. I hope your morning is going well. I had an alarm set for 7 a.m., checked my Twitter, and saw at 7 a.m. exactly, they tweeted this. I had jolted out of bed, so apologies if I still sound and look like I just woke up, because I literally did. But Nintendo tweeted out, tune in tomorrow, March 27th at 7 a.m. Pacific for a live streamed Nintendo Direct featuring around 30 minutes of upcoming games for Nintendo Switch. There will be no updates about Nintendo Switch 2 during this presentation. Watch it here. There's also a follow-up tweet here saying information about Nintendo Switch 2 will be shared on April 2nd at 6 a.m. in the Nintendo Direct Switch 2 April 2nd presentation. So we're literally getting two cakes. We're getting a Switch 1 30-minute Direct, and who knows how long the Switch 2 Direct will be, but another meaty Nintendo Direct for Switch 2 games. And man, that's really exciting. Now, before we get into the games that I want to see, the games I hope to see, and the games that we can safely expect will be there based on some hints from Pyoro, I gotta say though, I've seen a lot of people seemingly upset by this, thinking that this means the Switch 2 Direct will be more of a nothing burger. Maybe it won't be as exciting as we once thought. And I'm really left scratching my head wondering why, because back in February, we were all on board with there being a Direct, but now that it's a month later, we don't want it. It doesn't really make sense to me. The way I see it, the Switch is its own platform with 150 million users. This is what I've been saying to people, and they weren't listening, that they're going to keep supporting it. There's going to be first-party Switch 1 games that come out for the next, 2 years at least. And right now, there are no dated Nintendo Switch 1 games, so they have to announce something at some point. I thought maybe when there wasn't a February Direct, they were going to save it for after the Switch 2 Direct. Maybe they would be Twitter announcements, who knows? But to me, as a Nintendo fan, a starved Nintendo fan who hasn't had much to look forward to over the past year, aside from, some very good games, Echoes of Wisdom, Brothership, Emio, I loved last year, but there hasn't been any big dogs, right? There hasn't been any big heavy hitters coming out of Nintendo. Plus, we only got one General Direct last year in June. It's been a while since we had some nice Nintendo news to really chew on. So to me, I'm just like, okay, we get a Direct now, and we get a Direct later. And I don't think either of these Directs are going to be lacking because of the other one. I really think we're about to just get two pretty good Directs. Is this Switch 1 Nintendo Direct going to blow our socks off tomorrow? Probably not. I am still expecting mostly remasters and remakes, but to be fair, that's kind of what we've expected with a lot of Nintendo Directs during these later years of the Switch generation. But once again, I mean, I think people are too quick to write off the Switch 1. I think there is a good chance that we come out of tomorrow with not just a handful of remakes from Nintendo, be that Prime 2 and 3, be that Planet Robobot, be that Wind Waker or Twilight Princess or Fire Emblem. There's a whole laundry list. I wouldn't be surprised if they just announced a new Mario sports game or a Pikmin spinoff. We've been talking about that recently. Or something completely out of left field, a new Golden Sun, a Tomodachi Life. I don't know. Nintendo is a weird company, and if they want to release a new F-Zero or something randomly at the end of a generation, or a sequel to The Last Story, or Pandora's Tower, or a new Sin and Punishment, they'll do it. I'll remake a Punch-Out on Wii, right? I don't think we can write off the Switch 1 just yet. I think there is still a lot of juice left in that tank. On top of all the very exciting stuff I'm expecting on April 2nd. I've done a lot of videos over the past week or two getting ready for that Direct. I think it's going to be an all-timer. I think it's going to be one of the best Nintendo Directs we've ever had in terms of, we're going to get the console release date, the pricing, all that stuff. But also the games. I mean, we're going to see more Mario Kart. We're going to see 3D Mario. I would hope so. I think there will be teases of bigger things coming even after that, maybe Animal Crossing or Splatoon. I made a whole video dedicated to 3D Zelda, and I think there's a chance they tease the next one even if it is still years away, so check out that full video for my reasoning there. But to me, I'm like, okay, we get a nice little package of Switch 1 games, even if there aren't any megatons in it. Still seeing all these remasters that have been rumored for so long is exciting to me as someone who's excited to, replay these games or play them for the first time in some cases. I've never played Metroid Prime 2 or 3, so that's really, high up on the wish list for me. But then also, we're going to get the Megaton Direct that we've been waiting years for, with 3D Mario in it and Mario Kart, all in the span of a week. I don't think that's ever happened before, for Nintendo. For us to get 2 presentations back-to-back like that, presumably both are going to be pretty meaty. I mean, there was the 2015 Direct Micro that happened, I think, a week before E3 2015 that year. And funnily enough, that Direct Micro actually ended up being, I think, a little bit better than the E3 showcase, because the E3 showcase that year, that's when they announced Amiibo Festival and Ultra Smash. The Micro, I guess it wasn't technically better, but it had, some more surprising announcements. Like, I think Ziplash was there, Mario and Sonic was there, just like the weirder stuff. Maybe that's what we're looking at tomorrow, where we just get a Direct full of random stuff. Maybe it's time for Rhythm Heaven to come back. That's what I want to see from this. But then we get those heavy hitters on April 2nd. And to me, as someone who plays basically every Nintendo game, it's cool that we'll have a presentation for the weird stuff, the remasters, all that, but then also the big dog Direct in just a week. I mean, it's just, we're feasting. We are literally feasting on Nintendo news, and that's so exciting to me. But let's start talking about what we might see in this Direct. Now, at the time of recording, I'm recording this as soon as the Direct was announced at 7 a.m. At the time of recording, Pyoro has teased one game that will be here, and it's a big one. It's one that I was expecting to pop up in the Switch 2 showcase. So before the Direct was announced, Pyoro tweeted out on Blue Sky, so I guess he blue skied it out here. He said, "It is not a partner." He said this before the Direct was announced, an hour and a half beforehand. And Emily Song 2000 on Blue Sky here said, "Is it time?" with a GIF of Metroid Prime. Now, if you are familiar with Pyoro and how he likes to tease things, you'll know that back when he first started leaking stuff in 2023 with Mario RPG, F-Zero 99, back in those days, he likes to tease things through liking tweets. If we go to the likes on this tweet from Emily Song 2000, he liked it. So I think we can make a pretty good argument here that Metroid Prime 4 will, in fact, be in the Nintendo Direct tomorrow. What this means for the Switch 2 Direct, I do not know. Maybe Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. Maybe it was never cross-gen, man. I don't know anymore. But it sounds like we will be seeing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond in the general Nintendo Direct tomorrow. And that is something I can understand people being a little bit more reserved about, a little bit more hesitant about in this moment, because they want Prime 4 to be the best game it can be. They want it to be a Switch 2 game, have the best sales. Just because it's showing up tomorrow, I don't think necessarily means that won't be the case. However, it does hurt it, right? I thought the reason we hadn't seen it again since last June was because, well, they're saving it for the Switch 2 Direct. Doesn't look like that's the case. They were just saving it for some reason. We don't know what exactly. Maybe it's just a Switch 1 game that comes out after Switch 2, and it kind of gets a boost that way. But yeah, it sounds like in 24 hours here or so, we will be getting another look at Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. And barring any teases where they say, hey, what you just saw with Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, tune in next week for even more information at the Switch 2 Direct. We will probably get our release date for this game. The trailer, I would imagine, is going to be a big blowout trailer. I imagine, unless they have some crazy game to announce, this is what's going to close the Direct tomorrow, I would think. You announce Prime 2 and 3, then you show Prime 4, and then you end the Direct. I feel like, I don't know what they could possibly have here that would be bigger than Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, even if it is a game we already know about. So yeah, it looks like we'll be seeing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond tomorrow, which is really exciting, and I really hope we do get Prime 2 and 3, maybe Shadow Drop, maybe coming out in like early April or something. To me, as someone who does want it to be a launch title for Switch 2, as someone who wants it to be cross-gen so that it sells as many copies as possible, just the new-gen hype that it would benefit from being on Switch 2, I will say, if it's not in the Switch 2 Direct, that kind of has me curious. Like, that was an entire game I was expecting to show up next week, Now, is that just one less game we're getting in that direct? Or is Nintendo so loaded on games they've been sitting on that potentially we have something else equally exciting next week that would show up, be that like a Splatoon or Animal Crossing tier game for Switch 2? Because in my mind, I'm looking at the Switch 2 lineup, I'm expecting 3D Mario, Mario Kart, Prime 4, and like one more thing this year from Nintendo first party, like big games. But if Metroid Prime 4 is a Switch 1 game, I feel like you kind of need to replace that with something else. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, it does sound like, based on this Pyoro liked tweet here, that we will be seeing it tomorrow, hopefully alongside Prime 2 and 3. Now, it is worth noting that that's all Pyoro has liked so far as I can tell. It's only 7:40 in the morning when I'm recording this. I think it is likely that he will continue leaking stuff over the next 24 hours leading up to this direct. So stay tuned for that, I guess. If there's anything massive, I might make another video. I always try to avoid seeing more leaks and spoilers for these things, but it never happens. I always end up on social media seeing what happens. So if there's anything massive that pops up, I will make another video. But otherwise, I think I'll just wait until tomorrow. I will be live streaming tomorrow, of course, by the way, at 6 a.m. or like 6:30, I guess, a little bit before the direct starts. But yeah, stay posted on the Pyoro Blue Sky account, I suppose, and keep checking those tweets to see what he likes, because maybe we'll get some more hints at what will be there. I did post a video, I think 2 days ago now, going over all of the third-party stuff we could expect to see from this direct. There's just been a lot of trademarks and filings and ESRB ratings and all that stuff. EA has a few things. The My Sims Agent Bundle, Plants vs. Zombies Reloaded was trademarked. Very excited. Hopefully that pops up here. Hollow Knight Silksong, maybe it's finally time we see that game. That got its Steam metadata updated with a new copyright of 2025, so that could be here. Ninja Gaiden Ragebound needs a release date. Sonic Crossworlds needs a release date. There's plenty of third-party stuff to talk about here. And then first-party, right, beyond Metroid Prime 4, pun intended, there's so many remasters that have been rumored for so long. I think it's finally time we see Kirby Planet Robobot, at the very least. I think that's like the safest bet for this direct. And if not Planet Robobot, maybe Nate the Hate's wrong about that. I doubt it. But if it's not Planet Robobot, we need some sort of Kirby game this year, unless there's a Switch 2 Kirby game being announced next week. I would be willing to put money on Kirby showing up in some form or fashion tomorrow morning, and I think it's likeliest that it will be a Kirby Planet Robobot remaster, and I think that would maybe come out next month. I mean, I think it's going to be soon. It all depends on when the Switch 2 comes out. That's going to be exciting as well. Based on what's announced here, and what they date for what weeks and what months, we might be able to kind of figure out when the Switch 2 is actually releasing. So if we get a release date for like Kirby, or even Prime 4, that's like middle of May, well, at that point, we can maybe speculate that, yeah, the Switch 2 is not coming out until June, or even a little bit later. So Kirby, I think we'll see there. Really hoping for some new story content, a little Susie prologue or something like they did the Magolor epilogue in Return to Dreamland Deluxe. That'd be very cool. Fire Emblem 4 Remake, that's an interesting one. I actually think, okay, if we're talking about Metroid Prime 4 Beyond closing the direct, barring any other, like, a more exciting new game announcements, like something entirely new, I think Fire Emblem 4 Remake would be a good opener. If they want to open this thing on something exciting, it is a full remake. It's a game that most people have never played because it was only released in Japan. That'd be a good opener, and then have Metroid Prime 4 as your closer. I hope we see Fire Emblem here. It's been a while. That game's been rumored for all of eternity, it feels like. So it does feel like the time is right to see that here. Then there's also Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. I'm a little bit more hesitant on those. I've talked about them a lot recently, but maybe we see Wind Waker. I mean, that'd be really cool. I'm not going to complain. Trust me, I'm not going to complain if we see either of those Zelda remasters tomorrow. I'd be very, very excited. And then, yeah, like I said, I do think there could be something new entirely. We haven't seen anything from Camelot in 4 years now. This is the longest they've ever gone without releasing a game. I think it is not unlikely that they're saving something big for Switch 2, likely the next Mario Tennis game. That's the biggest Mario Sports sub-franchise, but maybe they have a Switch 1 game. Maybe it is a Mario Baseball. Maybe it is that Mario kind of sports mix compilation kind of thing. Something Mario here, I feel like. I know last year was just a Mario onslaught consistently all year long, so I kind of don't want that much Mario, especially when we're talking about Mario Kart and 3D Mario on Switch 2, but you probably want to throw a Mario bone to the Switch 1 audience, and I think some sort of Mario sports game here would make sense. Yoshi's Woolly World is a port that I've talked a lot about. I would love to see that come over. Now that we have Xenoblade X, we have to start kind of double dipping a little bit on games that also came to 3DS, and I think Woolly World is a natural fit for the Switch. Although I think this might be a little bit later in the year, so I don't even know if they would announce it here. That's the thing. I mean, I think there is a real chance we get like a June Direct that has Switch 1 and Switch 2 games in it. And maybe they announce even more at that point. I don't know if this will be the entire slate of Switch 1 games for 2025. It might be. There is a chance it will be. I guess we'll find out based on how much they announce. But I could see a June Direct, and maybe that's when they announce more holiday stuff for Switch 1. But I do think Yoshi's Woolly World, that's an easy port from the Wii U that they could do. Other Wii U ports they could do, I mean, Color Splash, I think will happen. Definitely a little too soon, though, right? I mean, we just got Thousand Year Door. But yeah, very exciting times ahead. I cannot wait to tune into this thing tomorrow and see what Nintendo has to say for themselves. My perfect dream scenario here is, let's say it opens on Fire Emblem, you have all the stuff in the middle, Kirby, maybe a Wind Waker in there, all the third-party stuff, a couple of surprises, ends on Prime 2, 3, and 4, and then after that, whoever comes out and talks, they say, hey, tune in next week for the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct, where we will see a new version of Prime 4 as well, or like the next-gen version, just kind of like leading into it, because I'm still wondering why they waited until now to do this Direct, period. Like, it is weird that they did it, so I would hope that there's a reason, like, okay, they had the Direct this late, so that way they can say, hey, tune in next week for more Prime 4, or something like that. I can't really imagine why else they would do this, though, unless they really were just, you know, racing against the clock to get this thing ready. I'm not sure, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of there being a full 30-minute Nintendo Direct tomorrow? I do think that's a little bit shorter than the generals have been of recent memory, I want to say. I think they're normally around like 40 minutes, so it is a little bit of a shorter Direct, I guess. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below about this Direct being announced. What games do you think will be there? How do you feel about Pyoro pretty blatantly teasing that Prime 4 will be in this Direct and not next week's? That's, I know, gonna hurt some people. And as always, subscribe here for more Nintendo content. Follow me on Twitter at BoTalksGames, other channel at It's Amiibo, and I will be streaming, once again, I will be streaming this Direct tomorrow morning. I'll go live like 30 minutes beforehand, I think, and we'll kind of have a little pre-show, talk about the Direct with the chat, and then react to it, which would be a lot of fun. And then, yeah, next week, once again, I'll be streaming the April 2nd Direct, obviously. So, lots to be excited for if you are a Nintendo fan. As always, click on one of these other videos here to listen to me ramble even more about Nintendo. And until next time, folks, peace!